Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Garcia. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you our guest speaker here tonight. You know, a number of years ago, I sat in a room, sitting in the back of the room, my first entry into network marketing, my first vision of a network marketing presentation, sitting in the back of the room, and one of the speakers that day was this gentleman coming up, Mr. Dan Catto. This was back in 1993, June 23rd, 1993. This gentleman has so many accomplishments. He's been featured in multiple magazines, multiple articles in newspapers, multiple books like Who Stole the American Dream, The Hong Kong Vision by Raymond Hung, Greatest Networkers in the World, been featured there. Recently, he's been featured in Obtainer magazine and Network Marketing Time magazine. So countless of articles and books featured on this gentleman. He has trained over 1 million people. He's the creator of Millionaires. Right now in his organization here in NHT Global, he has over 42 millionaire in his team, 10 people to 100,000 a week. He is my business partner, a legend in this industry. I would highly recommend, you know, one of the secrets to my success is every time this gentleman spoke, when I was a newbie in this industry, I was in the front row taking notes. But not only was I taking notes, I'd like to have you write this down. Not only was I taking notes, as soon as that presentation ended, I went out and did what he taught. And it worked, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, my great friend, business partner, Mr. Dan Catto.
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe. And just as you said, I guess in other terms, they said a long pencil is better than a short memory. So, yeah, gang, if you could just take some notes on what I'm going to share with you tonight, because what I am going to share with you this evening is so important, and actually an area of the business that I enjoy so much, and that is really the challenges, the obstacles, the hurdles, the landmines, all of the stuff that will be a part of your journey as you course yourself through this incredible business and this incredible opportunity. And you know, actually, just before we get started here, I do want to recognize all the nurses here in North America, because it is National Nurses Week. And on tonight's call, we had Donna Young from Canada, and my co-host here tonight, Francis Maxwell, both nurses, and one of them retired, being Francis, and I guess the other one, Donna, is kind of retired, semi-retired as well. But I believe always a nurse too, because you are nursing the world and the universe, certainly with this opportunity and with our business. And definitely a belated post-Happy Mother's Day to all those wonderful, wonderful mothers that are out there. And for both of those groups, the mothers and the nurses of the world, many, many challenges and obstacles that you certainly had to go through in your journey and in your world and what you've done. So you've had to overcome so much to get, I guess, to the pinnacle of you being a wonderful mom to kids and to being a great, great nurse. There's always challenges every day in what you do. Well, it's no different than what we've got here with our industry. And it certainly is no different than just about any other endeavor that you would take in traditional business. If you own your own business, if you're in the corporate world, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be these hurdles. There's always going to be that test. There's always going to be something in front of you that you need to overcome. Well, these are some of the things that I want to share with you, because we don't sugarcoat this opportunity and this incredible journey that you're on. This is not a get-rich-quick program. This is a business. This is a real, live business and an incredible, incredible opportunity that can provide and fulfill just about any kind of dream you could ever possibly think about. And I certainly wasn't thinking about that over 25 years ago when I first got involved in the industry. So for me to be able to share with you some of the obstacles, some of the challenges, some of the things that you're going to meet, some of the landmines, is so important, because I did get that 25 years ago at one of my early trainings. It was a training called Landmines, which really helped me. But what I'm going to share with you is just some of the things over the 25 years that I encountered that you will encounter in this business, and also why I believe that you're going to encounter some of these challenges so you can understand it. So first of all, some of the obstacles, are other people, going through them, why you're going through it, but I think most importantly, the solution, which will be the latter part of what I'm going to share with you. So when we take a look at the very first slide, there's basically 4 slides that we're going to go over here, 4 sections what I want to share with you. And my co-chair, co-host friend Francis is going to jump to the next slide here. And basically, my life, and Franny, if you can go to that next slide, as she is just hurtling to the next slide. And I don't know, Francis, are you seeing the next slide from your end? There we go. That was just a little obstacle that we had, a little hurdle that I was getting to the very first slide. We will have 3 more after this one. But, gang, my life was an obstacle when I got started off in this industry. So, if you take a look at all of the success stories that we have in our industry, inside and outside of NHT Global, but within this industry, and there's many, we have got more millionaires in our industry than any other industry in North America. That's a fact. There's more millionaires in our industry than any other industry in North America, and that's a fact. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Every single one of our millionaires that you go to and you speak to, and all of these success stories, you're going to see challenges, obstacles, adversities, hurdles that they had to overcome. You're going to find some. There is, and I say every single one, there are some exceptions. And those exceptions to me are like the people that win the lottery. And that can happen, particularly with our compensation plan, when you have a binary compensation plan. If you sponsor 2 horses, 2 guys, 2 gals, 2 people, one to the left, one to the right, and they both rip, that has happened. It has happened in our industry. It's actually happened in NHT Global. That's not the norm. And that's why, I kind of equate that to some of the people that win the lottery. As a matter of fact, up until about 7 years ago, 95% of the people that won the lottery within 5 years were broke or worse off than they were before they won the lottery. And the biggest reason was that they never paid the price. They never respected what they had. They didn't have any kind of value of what they had. They didn't earn what they had. All of that. And that's, another part of so much of what I could talk about here. And this particular topic, in terms of obstacles and challenges and overcoming them, gang, I could talk to you for days and days and days, because I've been doing this, as I shared with you, for 25 years, and I've seen all of the stuff that you go through. But for everyone that looks at our industry, not all people want to become an NHT Global, or in our industry, not everyone wants to become a global ambassador. Not everyone is willing to go out and do what it takes to become a global ambassador, or a millionaire, or someone who becomes maybe financially independent in terms of $10,000 a month. Maybe that person that's looking at our business, because for the most part, most of the people that do join our business, so many of them are product users, because we've got such incredible products. But this is a leadership training. This is a training, and for you that have tied into this particular training, you've tied into this because you're looking for that kind of freedom that I preface this training on, and that's talking about becoming a global ambassador, becoming financially free, creating that type of independence that you couldn't get maybe in a franchise or in the traditional business where you would come from, wherever it might have been. But what I want to talk to you about is the things that you are going to encounter, and those challenges, those adversities, those hurdles, because I have experienced every single one of them, and I'm not alone. My life was an obstacle when I got started 25 years ago. Gang, a lot of you, and I consider my close dear friends that are on this call here tonight, you know my story. But for some of you that are maybe new to NHT or maybe listening to this particular call or training or me for the first time, 25 years ago in 1988, when I got involved in this industry for the very first time, I was dealing with just about as far as I was concerned, the worst possible position anyone could be in. I had just about everything bail on me. I was going through a very difficult period in my life. I'd been in traditional business for about 10 years. I've been at the senior position in the fashion world in corporate Canada, running the largest fashion houses and fashion retailers in corporate Canada. I owned and operated my own business for 2 years. I had been married for a couple of years. I thought I had a pretty healthy life. I thought I had a pretty nice home. Well, in 1988, I lost all of that and more. My business went under. I went back into the security of corporate. I got let go because that company was bought out by a U.S. parent. I didn't have enough money to go back into business for myself, and I couldn't find a job. Corporate downsizing, white and blue collar, was rampant back in the late 80s, like it has been in the last few years here in North America and around the world, particularly in Western Europe. My wife left me. My health started to fail me, so I ended up in the hospital with colitis and Crohn's disease. I was there for 2 months, lost about 50 pounds. Had to move back in with mom and dad, went on government assistance, unemployment insurance. For you that live in Canada, particularly in the Ontario or Toronto area, we called it POGI back then. POGI, it was just a slang term for collecting government assistance. So I wasn't really at the top of my game, and here I was going into my mid-30s. I was 32, just turning 33 in a couple of months, and that's where I was. My life was a challenge, my own personal life. So my whole situation when I was getting started was not an easy start. I was not dealing from a position of strength. So that I had to deal with. So gang, I'm sharing this stuff with you because when you talk to so many of our people that have succeeded in our business, they were not handed this on the silver spoon. They went out and they paid a price. They did what they had to. And when I get to the last slide, which is the solution, it's really coming down to a couple things that are the absolute key to you overcoming the challenges, the obstacles, and you succeeding long-term in the business. But let me just give you a couple of the things that I had to deal with, and was I alone in this? Well, first of all, when I got started, here's some of the things that you may go through and be prepared for when you get registered. You can have the challenges like your friends and your family, raining on you, just not thinking you're in your right mind for doing this. I went through that. I had friends who just laughed at me for doing this. I had family who thought I was going to jail or going to a nut house, and they were telling my parents this, and I was living with my folks, so I got to see them a lot and talk to them a lot about it. When I finally did get registered, when I went to my first opportunity meeting and I did get registered and get started and started talking to people, not only did they think that I was crazy, I really didn't know who to talk to. But, I was able to go to the people that I, had a close relationship with in the business world that had respect for me and realized that I was in the situation that I was in, the challenge and the obstacles that I was in at that time was not my fault. They knew that it was just a way of what was happening in corporate America, corporate Canada at the time, through the downsizing. So these are the people that I talked to and I went after, and I approached on the business and I approached on the product. These are the first people that I went to. And that is another training on how to approach people, and going to your warm market list. But gang, that's who I went to first. And, not, as a matter of fact, most of them didn't join. But the few that did come out, a few of them signed up. And those are the ones that, I got started with. But I had people laugh at me. I had people that joined and then quit. I had people that joined, built a team, and then quit. I had more no-shows. I had organizations that, evaporated in a few weeks that, took me months and in some cases years to build. I had challenge after challenge after challenge. But let me tell you, that first year was the toughest year. That first year was the toughest. And again, I'm not sugarcoating this thing because it is a real business. But I'm going to give you some examples that are out there where just about every endeavor that you've got, there are challenges that come with that. And I'll just give you a quick one with that in a second. But that first year was the toughest. And the adversities and the challenges, the long trips that I had to take in the car, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 hours in snowstorms with a car that didn't work, and the heater didn't work, there was holes in the floorboard. It was unbelievable. But the biggest reason why I kept on going is I had nowhere else to go. I could not afford to go back into business for myself, and I had lost all faith in corporate. Corporate lost all faith in me. I couldn't get a job. So I kept on going. Gang, later on, as I did studies outside of our industry, I realized that for every person that ever made it, how many quit because they gave up or they stopped because they couldn't deal with the heat. They couldn't deal with the challenges. They couldn't deal with the hours. They couldn't deal with paying the price. Let's take a look at the medical industry. I didn't know this. Well, you do know this, that for you to become a physician, it takes you at least 7 years before you become qualified as a physician. Do you know that 93% of the people that enter pre-med never become physicians? Over 85% of the people that enter accounting never become CAs. Over 90% of the people that enter the retail sector, life insurance, and real estate within 12 months are no longer in that industry. 85% of the people that enter the military never get promoted. All of these people with big dreams, you know, these starry-eyed dreams of where they want to go, where they want to be, couldn't deal with the obstacles and the challenges within their arena wherever they were. I'm just giving you some examples, you know, that are outside of our industry. Well, it's the same thing here. But gang, you know, something that we're very, very proud of, we have more millionaires in our industry than any other industry in North America, and that's a fact. So we're pretty proud of that. Here in NHT, we don't have one of our people that took more than 5 years to become a global ambassador or create a financial income of 6 figures monthly. So out of the 42 millionaires that we got, it's a fact that every single one of them got there in less than 5 years. Over half came from the emerging markets. Do you think they've got it easy? Do you think they've got challenges? Do you think they got obstacles out there? Absolutely they do. Do you know over half of these people that joined had never been involved in our industry? Over half of them are women. Talk to Huna, who made up to $175,000 a week. She came here from China, couldn't speak a lick of English. She went with her 4-month-old child to her first meeting in Los Angeles. Wouldn't even let her into the presentation room. Well, they couldn't because we don't let in pets or children out of meeting etiquette. Well, she got to $175,000 a week in commissions within 5 years. She's one of our wealthiest global ambassadors here with NHT Global. We are riddled with those kinds of stories throughout NHT Global around the world. It's not just here in North America, where a lot of them have retired because they were in a position to do it. But boy, did they pay a price. Well, let me share with you, outside of our industry, has that ever happened? Well, I'm just going to share with you some, well, first of all, Norman Vincent Peale said that the only people who have problems are in a cemetery. But let me give you an example of some of the people that had to deal with challenges in their area, in their arena, and what they've had to go through. And Francis, we're going to go to the next slide. We're going to move on to the next one. And is there anyone else? Well, I think for a lot of you, you've heard of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he in his public school, the basketball team that he had played on, when he was in public school, he was cut. He was cut from that team, and he was cut from his, in grade 10, and his high school team was cut from that team. And in his biography, Michael Jordan said the reason that he succeeded is that he failed over and over and over and over again. He had challenges, he had obstacles, he had every type of obstacle and challenge in front of him, but he just did not stop. Beethoven, he had to overcome deafness. Roosevelt, former President of the United States, polio. Another president, Lincoln, extreme poverty and failure after failure after failure in his climb and his rise to become President of the United States. One of the greatest composers in history, Tchaikovsky, just had a very, very tragic and very public and tragic marriage that he had to overcome and get through. You know, one of the greatest composers and musicians that we have in American history, Isaac Hayes, had to go through years and years of frightening poverty. One of the great stories that we have in you know, not just in North America, but around the world in the last century, is the story of Helen Keller, who was born without sight and without hearing. You know, here is a woman, here was a person who came into this world who couldn't see and couldn't hear and became one of the greatest communicators. I'll share with you again, one of the greatest communicators that this world has ever seen. And one of the great lines that she came up with was this, when she was asked, is there anything worse in life than life without sight? And she replied, sight without vision. You know, Archie Moore, one of the greatest boxers that we have in American history, had to overcome extreme poverty and lived his entire childhood in the ghetto. John Bunyan, one of the great authors from the United States, wrote Pilgrims in Progress while he was in prison. Robert Burns and Ulysses S. Grant overcame extreme alcoholism. You know, for all of you, you've heard of Benjamin Franklin. I'm sure you've heard of the story of him when he was getting that first light bulb to work. He had to go at it 8,000 times before he could finally get that light bulb to go on. Well, how many no's would you put up with? How many objections would you put up with? How many obstacles and challenges would you put up with? Well, Ben Franklin put up with 8,000 before he got that light to stay on. And look what we've got here today. By the way, he never got out of the 3rd grade. You know, the great apostle Paul wrote most of the Old Testament while he was in prison, and he was, you know, neck deep in sewage. One of my favorites is this one. Walt Disney went broke 7 times. Walt Disney went broke 7 times and was fired from a publisher, by a publisher, for lack of ideas before he eventually made it. That's a true story. You know, I believe if you have got big challenges in your life, if you've got huge challenges in your life, you've probably arrived. It seems like it's a part of the territory. When I first got involved in this industry, when I was worse than broke, massively in debt, I remember reading that the average millionaire goes broke 2.5 times before he makes it. Well, I was right on track, so I was feeling okay about that. Let's go on to the next slide here, Francis. I can go on and on and on about anyone else who's got obstacles and challenges, but they've all gone through it. We've all gone through it. And why do we go through it? You know, why is it that successful people seem to have to go through a crash or a burn or these challenges, et cetera, et cetera? Gang, I don't know. I really don't know. I guess it is a part of the journey. You will get tested every day. These are little tests, and I know every time when I come up with these challenges, I know it's just a part of the test. I know if you want to, you take a look at this picture of, say, a guy that's in fabulous shape with great muscles, or ladies, you look at that gal that's in that great bathing suit or great outfit or whatever it is, and she's lost all that weight, she looks incredible, and you're just not there. How do you get there? Well, there's a price that you got to pay. There's those challenges and obstacles and little disciplines and those little tests that you have to make every single day. I'm going to get into the solution and on how you can overcome so much of that stuff, and I think the single biggest reason why, and that'll be in the solution, but, you know, in any journey that you're on, no matter what it is, inside and outside of this industry, you're going to have them. You're going to have these tests. You're going to have these challenges. You're going to have these obstacles. I remember when I was a young man, very, very young. My father is a United Church minister. I'm the son of a preacher man. And I used to have very interesting conversation with my dad as a young man. And I remember him, when I asked him the question, Pops, why do these crazy things happen in the world to good people? Why does why are all these travesties and horrible things that happen out there in this world? And why can't we just have a perfect world? I mean, your mentor, your coach, you're offline. You guys, he put this thing together. Can't we just have a perfect world? And he really didn't know why either. But he sort of gave me an answer that crystallized a little more a number of years later when I saw the movie God. I saw the movie God, and it was, for a lot of you, depending on your age, if you're in your early 20s, you may have not seen that movie, but God was played by George Burns, the late George Burns. It was a great movie, and it was a bit of a comedy, but it had great messages in there. But George Burns, the great comedian and not a bad actor, played God. And in the movie, this young girl, she was about 8 years old, 7 years old, asked God, George Burns, partly through the movie, "You're God, right?" And George, as God, says, "Yes, little girl, I'm God." And she says, "Well, if you're God, why do you allow all these things to happen to this world? Why do we have all of these problems and challenges and all of these bad things that happen in this world?" And it was a pretty interesting answer. And God, George Burns, paused and he said, "Well, little girl, I think I've done a pretty good job in putting this big old world together. It's not perfect, but I'm still working on some stuff. And one of the things that I'm still working on is actually the question that you just asked. And I still haven't been able to figure this one out. I haven't been able to figure out how to make day without night, up without a down, left without a right, good without bad, success without failure, success without challenges and obstacles," and went on from there. And I guess it's the law of the universe, is that we can't have success without failure. There would be no measure. And for us to have this, if you wanted to be in great shape, you can't get there unless you pay the price in the gym. You can't have this incredibly healthy body unless you pay the price in terms of the disciplines and the challenges and the obstacles of, you got to eat like this, you got to discipline yourself in terms of what you eat and what you don't eat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things, all of the obstacles, all of the challenges, all of those tests are a part of the journey. It's just the way it is. And I don't really have a better answer for it. It's just that it's going to be there. But I do know this, that all of these tests, all of these challenges make you stronger. They all make you better. Every time you lift a weight in the gym, you get stronger. You take a look at this poor hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, just a few days ago when they were interviewed to a man. They were, just about all of them had to be consoled just after Mother's Day on them getting defeated like they did by the Boston Bruins in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They statistically had the worst meltdown and collapse of any team in 7-game hockey history. And to a man, when they were interviewed, they all just were devastated by it, but just about to a man, they all said, "This will make us stronger. This will make us better." And, great to hear, especially if you're a Leaf fan, but, life is that way. It's a quote that's been said out there, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. But Gang, all of the stuff that you go through, all of the little challenges that you go through in your business, regardless, relative to your goals and what you have. And I've always believed this. If you've got little challenges, you're going to have a little business. If you've got big challenges, you're going to have a big business. It just comes with the territory. There's nothing wrong with being wrong or being down. What's wrong is staying down. And these are some of the little things that I can help you with in terms of, you know, how do you deal with the obstacles and the challenges in your journey? And I'm going to get to the solution in the end. But I'll tell you, one of the greatest things that you can do to help you as you go through, you know, the no's or the rejections or the challenges or, you know, the people that don't sign up or the people that do and then they quit, whatever it is, one of the greatest things is activity, is action. And, you know, Thomas Watson, the former president of IBM, years ago when he was asked, how do you increase your success? He said, double your failure rate. Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about messing up. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. There's nothing wrong with being down. What's wrong with, the only thing wrong is staying down. You've got to get back up again. So, you know, you want to write this down, is that in terms of your goals, always remember that long-term goals will overcome those short-term frustrations. Long-term goals will overcome those short-term frustrations. So take action on your goals. Remember, and as saying action is one of the greatest things that you can do. Activity will help you overcome negativity. Activity will help you overcome negativity and should lead you towards productivity. They say the chains of worry are the heaviest in idle moments. The chains of worry are the heaviest in idle moments. The devil's playground is the idle mind. So you do take action. Thoughts will determine what you want. Action will determine what you get. There's so many little things that you can do in pursuit of your dreams and your goals, but action is one of the greatest things that you can do. So, you know, it's been said that, and I think one of the big ones here is just not quitting. They have said that winners never quit. Well, quitters never win. So one of the big things is you just don't quit. You just keep on going. You know, in terms of the action and taking activity here, you know, people say, well, you know, people are taking shots at you for what you're doing. You know, people, and I tell you, 25 years ago in this industry, I used to take a lot of heat. 25 years ago, our industry was not mainstream like it is today. 25 years ago, most people were fairly ignorant, I certainly was, to understanding the industry. Today, most people, our society, understands our industry so much more than what we went through 25 years ago. But I'll never forget and realizing that, you know, dogs don't bark at parked cars. The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. So don't ever forget that. You know, they're talking about you, something's going on. There's some noise. There's some things that are happening. But it's some of the things that can help you in the solution. Let's go on to the last slide here. That will help you getting where you need to go in terms of the solution is focusing on your priorities. Focus on the things that are most important. If you take a look at your list of what you need to do every day, if you take a look at my planner, my wife just can't believe when she looks at my planner. It is just jammed. I got a left and a right. I got 2 pages on my planner here. So I have the left side or right side. But I need 2 pages. I got so much stuff going on. But I prioritize all of the things that are the most important. Don't major in minor things. Do not major in minor things. There's only a few things that you need to focus on that will impact your business. And if Joe Garcia and I will tell you this every single time, that if you got a little obstacle, you got a little challenge, you got a little headache, you got something that's not going good in your day in your business, go out and bring in a brand new customer, or better yet, a brand new gold or brand new platinum. Watch what that will do for your attitude. brand new business that you're bringing in. And that is one of the greatest things that you can do to help you overcome challenges and issues and anything that you've got is bringing in new business. All the problems seem to go away every time you bring in new business and you got that brand new excited baby distributor that's just joined up. Watch what happens. But also, surround yourself, love your family, but choose your friends. Love your family, but choose your friends. Surround yourself with the most positive people that are focused on going the same place that you are. Garcia did that with me a long, long, long time ago. Is that, I'll tell you, Joe Garcia may have not, when he joined the industry, similar to myself, we weren't the most skilled guys when we joined this industry. We didn't have, we obviously didn't have any experience, but I tell you, none of us were good at the front of the room. I remember Joe the first time he got up, he had to give a testimonial. He forgot where he was from. I was not much better. I was stuttered and stammered and everything else. But I tell you, what we wanted and where we wanted to go was stronger than anything else. And we learned and we grew and we continued to focus on our priorities and surrounded ourselves with the people that were going the same place that we wanted to go. So let me tell you, that little consistency of effort, the disciplines every single day of doing the things that you need to do that are your priorities and focusing on where you have to go are the most important things that you can do every day. If you got 25 things that are on your list of what you've got to do, I'll bet you there's only 3 or 4 of them that are really important. The other 21, 22, whatever it is, probably doesn't matter if you don't get to them. It doesn't matter. You focus 1, 2, 3, and when I get up in the morning, I've already got 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I'm focusing on, and I don't even get to that other stuff until the other priorities are done. And you know what? Those priorities, 99% of the time, are focused on new business. Either my freshman class that I'm working on or a leader that is down in my group and my team, my organization, and they're putting me in front of new business or new people. That is 99% of the time what 1, 2, and 3 is. And you know what? Lots of times I've got people coming, well, Dan, I got this issue, I got this challenge, I got blah, blah, blah. I always say, well, come to me with a solution. And watch, come to me with some new business that we can close, watch that problem go away. 99% of the time, it does. So I'm gonna kind of close out on a couple of things here. Persistence, patience, just don't quit. The universe is going to be testing you. It will test you. It's a part of your growth. And don't ever forget, you are growing every single time you are being tested. If you're not being tested, you are not growing. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you will rot. So don't ever forget that you have got to be continue in that growth mode. But here's the single biggest thing. The single biggest thing that I found is, in terms of all those challenges, why you will succeed in your journey and where you want to go. This is the biggest one. I'm going to lay it on you right now. It's inside of you. The reason why you're doing this, why you want to become a global ambassador, why do you want to have that home, that beautiful dream home for your family? Why do you want to have, put your kids, is it to put them into private school? Is it to get your parents into that beautiful old age home so they can have that wonderful retirement in their golden years? Is it that family vacation that you talked about, bragged about to your spouse for 15 years, you've never been able to do it? Whatever it is that is inside of you, whatever it is that is making you pursue where you want to go, has to be stronger than the challenges, the obstacles, the hurdles that you're going to meet. That's flat out it. Gang, I just told you. That is the key. If what you want is greater than the resistance you meet, you can attain your dreams. And if your dreams are greater than your fears, you can accomplish anything here with NHD Global. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tying into tonight's call. Francis, we are done. And gang, good night, and we will see you at the top. Take care, everyone. Good night.